Hello and welcome to Des Illustrates. Today we're gonna take a look at these new paints I got. I got 7 new colors from the brand Roman Szmal. I'm hoping I'm saying that right. It's a new brand that's available here in the Netherlands, and these are also the first I'm trying out from them. This first color is the quinacridone gold. There's a really fancy wrapper around all of them that appears to be hand painted with the color that's inside. Then there is a double wrapper around it to protect the pen and the paint. The paints inside the pen seem to be a bit not fully dry, like they're a bit tacky still, and I think this is the kind of paint that not dries completely even after time. The second color that we are unwrapping right now is Caput Mortuum. This is in colored pencil, and in watercolor pencils this is my most favorite color of them all. I love using it on its own, but also a lot in animal fur and in shadows. So I was really excited to see that this brand had that color as a watercolor, because I hadn't come across this as a watercolor pen or tube before. The third color we are opening is a gray. I'm not gonna try to pronounce the first name because it's really unpronounceable. It's the color number is 401. It is a really nice gray with a bit of a purple undertone, and it also seems to separate a bit in drying, but not too much. And I think it will be a really great addition for painting animal fur and for the shadows. The fourth color we are unwrapping here is the mineral violet. This color I was also really excited about, because I had seen a similar color in Daniel Smith, but that's a really expensive brand. But as you can see, when I opened it right now, I was already like, this looks really orange, but we will get into that later. This fifth color is Praline green. I had received a little dot card with the Winsor & Newton Praline green, and I found it a really beautiful color. And then when I was ordering these, I saw that they also had a Praline green, so I was really excited to get that one and try it out to see if it's a similar shade, and it was the same pigment, so I'm hopeful. The sixth color that we are unwrapping is Payne's Gray. I already had this in my Van Gogh colors, but it's already almost empty, so I wanted to try out a bit of a higher grade brand to upgrade that color, because I'm using it a lot in all of my paintings. When I was unwrapping that, you could see what I meant with that the paints are a bit tacky. That one was most definitely the most tacky. It was like hot plastic almost. So there's a lot on the wrapper left. And the last paint is in Indantron blue. It was a really, really beautiful blue that was recommended by a friend of mine, and I'm loving the shade that I'm seeing on the wrapper, so I can't wait to swatch these out. As you can see here now too, the mineral violet is really orange in the pen, and I know that some purples appear orange or red when they are super pigmented, but I had my doubts about it with this specific color. Right now I'm writing out the numbers and the names of the pens that I got. I selected colors that I wanted to add to my collection of watercolors that I already owned, and not per se a selection that would make a new palette on its own. I did get a yellow and a blue, and the Caput Mortuum is kind of a red. I also got some basic colors like the grays, but it were all colors that I really wanted to add to my already existing palette. On the swatch card I'm also writing out the pigment colors. On the wrappers that were on the paints, these were names and also the light fastness, if they are graining or non-graining, and if they are transparent or not. That was all listed on the little wrappers, so it came with a lot of information. The first color that we are gonna swatch out is the Caput Mortuum. When I was putting this down, I was really happy with the tone of the color. It is exactly the color that I remember from my colored pencil and the watercolor pencils, like spot on. I haven't seen anything like this in any other brand that I know of. It can be that they are, because I don't own a lot, I just watch a lot of YouTube videos from other watercolor artists, and I haven't seen this one yet. We will see in a minute when it dries. It is a separating color, and the color separates in a beautiful dark earth-toned red and a bit of a blackish purple, I would call it. On the wrapper it said that this color was one of the earth pigments. I have understood that Roman Szmal has a earth pigment line, and this one is one of those colors. Something I noticed with this color is that it stays put. What I mean with that is that if you put it down even in pre-wetted paper, then the color doesn't really move a lot, so you get streaks really easily, but that's something that's part of the paint, and that's not a bad thing. This second color, the paint gray, is a bit more blue than I have from the Van Gogh, but I actually prefer this one with a bit more of a bluish undertone. In the pen it almost looked black, so the color, if you would put it on the paper with full pigment, so you would drop a bit of water in the pen and you would scoop out a lot of pigment, then you get a color that's near black. So I'm really impressed with this, that it can become a really nice grayish blue, really light, but it also can become almost completely black. You can already see it a bit in this close-up, that on the left it's almost black and on the right it's a really light blue-gray. This third color is the quinacridone gold. In the pen it was looking really red, and I was a bit worried if it was the right color, because I already was worried with the mineral violet. But as soon as I put my brush on it with some water, the color changed to this orangey gold yellow, and it is a really deep color with a lot of different tones in it. If you put it down on its lighted stone, it's a really nice warm yellow, almost like a cream. And if you put it down on its darker, it turns a bit a really rich orange. Like you can already see right now when I'm putting it down. The color range of this one is huge, and I'm again really impressed with this color and with this paint. With this one I could see again that the color wanted to stay put where I put it, so it's a bit more difficult to make a totally flat tones. At least I find that it's a bit more difficult, but I'm pretty sure that with a bit of practice that you can work with this even on flat tones. You can already see here in the swatch that it has a bit of the streaks left in the color, in how you put it down, so the color on the pigment stays on the paper where you put it. This fourth color was the color that I was afraid I had received the wrong color, the mineral violet. The pen was way too red to be violet, but I was still hopeful because I had seen some other paints that appeared red. And when they were dry and really pigmented, but when you picked up paint from them, they appeared purple. However, as soon as I put the wet brush on the paint, it still stayed orange. And as you can see when I'm swatching out on this paper, I'm sorry it's not in focus, but it's super orange. It's really bright, and there's no way this is gonna dry up like violet, and it didn't. In the time between me filming this footage and doing this voiceover, I contacted the supplier I got these paints from, and they contacted the brand, the fabric that makes these paints, and they said the wrong wrapper went around the wrong pen, and that they had more complaints about this color, but they couldn't say when this color was gonna be there again. So I'm not gonna get the right color, but they give me back my money for this pen, so that was really nice service of them. And I'm really hoping I can get this color in the future, because I was really excited about this one. This red that we got instead is a really bright orangey one, and I'm not sure what the exact color is. They have 120 colors, and I have to find the one that this is. If you have any suggestions about which color you think this is, let me know below in the comments. I will be digging around a bit myself too. If I find out, I will add it in the description of this video. The next color that we are gonna swatch out is Indanthrone Blue. This color also almost appeared black on the pen, just like the paint gray did. But if we swatch the color out on the paper, and already when we were adding some water on it in the pen, we can already see the blue coming up. And what this means is that there is just a ton of pigment in the pens. They are so pigmented that they almost appear black, and that makes me just super impressed with these pens. And overall, I keep saying that I'm really impressed with these paints, but while swatching them, all the colors, even the one that was the wrong color, I'm just super impressed with how easy they are to re-wet, and how pigmented they are, and how much there comes off just right away. Like I said, they are a bit tacky still, and I don't know if that will stay. I think it will, and that makes them easy to re-wet. So if that stays, that is something that we will find out in the future. If we take a close-up look to this dried up swatch, the blue is a bit darker in the swatch than it is in the video, but it's a really nice rich blue. And then we are moving on to the other gray that's unpronounceable in name. It's the color number 401. This gray is more of a purple undertone than the paint gray is. Paint gray has a really obvious blue undertone and it's much more muted than this gray. On the pen we didn't really see a color change when we added water to it. It stayed really dark, but when I put it down with my brush I could immediately see that it was a really different gray and that it was also diluting really pretty into the purple colors I was seeing on the wrapper. The purple came out right away even when the paint was still wet on the paper, and as you can see when I add extra pigment to the left it came out really dark. So this is also a color with a really wide range. And if we're gonna take a look at the dried up paint in a second, we will see that it separated a bit. You can see that the gray tones and the purple tones separated a tiny bit in the drying process, but I really like the effect that gives, and I had already seen that in the shop when I was picking out the color, so that was not a big surprise. And it was actually why I bought that gray as an extra on the paint gray. The last color that we are swatching out right now is Berylline Green. You can see I messed up the name a bit, but there are two names on the wrapper and I put on the wrong one at first, so I made that white again with a bit of gel pen and I wrote the right name on it. This green, like I mentioned before, I had a little dot card that I received from a friend that was Winsor & Newton, but I saw they used the same pigment in this brand and their prices are a bit more friendly. This color again has a really wide range. It goes from a really deep green, almost black color like it's in the pen, to a really light mossy green. It's a cool toned green, and it's exactly what I hoped it would be for this paint. I made little swatches of the dot card I got through from the Winsor & Newton Berylline Green, and it did make that swatch on different paper, but when I hold it next to this green they're really similar. I would say the Berylline Green from this brand is a bit brighter, but that is mostly because I made the swatches of these paints from the Roman Szmal on better paper than I did the Winsor & Newton one. I still need to swatch that out on proper paper. If we are looking at all these swatches in one go, then I'm really impressed with all the colors and the range that all the colors have. If you are still watching right now, I want to thank you very much. I also want to thank my Patreons, Hans, Perozu and Allison, for supporting me and my channel. I hope to see you next time. Bye!